And welcome back to the Off the Clock Show. Joined again, Sean Gervais from OrbisX CRM and Marshall Hill from the Pints of Polishing Podcast, as well as Hyper Clean Car Care Products. I don't know what I was going for there, but Hyper Clean. And by the
Yeah.
way, on that note, real quick, if you guys received the message recently, that's great. So the shop is officially open now. You can purchase your Hyper Clean Car Care products directly through OrbisX as well, and it helps out everybody in the community, which is awesome. And you will
Community.
Community, absolutely. And you will be getting some follow-ups where I go over how you can basically use HyperClean Car Care products to boost your business in two ways, direct to consumer and also direct to other businesses, so that during the quote unquote slower season for some of you, it will become planning season and busy season again.
How to build season.
Mm, I like that. The how to build season. I feel like if Home Depot hasn't copywritten that yet, then I'm going to jump on that how to build season. I like that. The how to build season. Absolutely. But it's important, because a lot of people, um, there's peaks and valleys, and there's people that don't know how to handle those. Maybe it's your first time. Maybe, your new business this is your first year. So maybe it's just unfamiliar territory. It could also be that,
This is
you were
that
riding the
this
good
is that
wave.
old, hey, I gotta work on my business, not in my business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool. Well, how about you take some
Cool.
time this off season to make a
Yeah.
build season?
Yes,
Let's work on
absolutely.
your business.
Absolutely, yeah. I enjoy working in and on my business
Yeah, me
at
too.
the
I
same
didn't
time,
I
like
never knew there was a difference. But
yeah. I guess yeah, it's a strange concept that people try and ingrain in themselves. They hear something and they're like, "Ooh, that makes sense." I see it a lot because like I read a lot, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, I get advice from people I talk to, different industries, same industry, so on and so forth. I feel that some people hear something, and if it makes even the slightest bit of sense to them at that exact moment, they're like, oh, and it just becomes like a lifestyle now. And it's one of those things where, like, I grew up hearing, oh, I hate Mondays. Oh, Mondays are the worst. Like, it was either kids at school hated Mondays, or once we started working, it was, everyone hated Mondays. There's a lot of people that just bought into the notion of hating Mondays. And I was like, but you're in control of your life, right? Like you could just fucking love Mondays tomorrow if you just find something you like to do on Mondays. Simple.
is it because people think that, oh, I could just keep doing the weekend?
Ah, yeah, yeah,
And there's this idea, right? Like you could be on forever vacation.
yeah. I don't think, no,
Mm-mm.
human beings, and most of us, anyways,
We
aren't built like
need,
that, even if we
yeah,
think
we
we
need
are.
the work. Like
We do. You got to have
you
purpose. You
need
got
to
to have
just
a
find
thing.
something else that you enjoy. Well, I can't. Sounds like a problem, my son.
Yeah, exactly. You ever see the movie with Pierce Brosnan? I think it's called After the Sunset. He's a diamond thief, and
Mm.
he steals diamonds, and Woody Harrelson's in it. It's a hilarious movie, actually. But he goes and he pulls off this heist, and he ends up like blaming somehow the FBI agent that was trying to like track him down. That guy gets all like pissed off, and he wants to go track this guy down now, but he retires. He moves to the islands and he retires. He's no longer going to be a thief. He promises his wife, I'll never steal again, all this kind of stuff. And the FBI agent follows him down there, goes to the island, and he's convinced. He's like, there's no way this guy gave up his lifestyle. He's going to steal something soon. So he goes down to see him and stuff. And sure enough, the guy was enjoying the first year or two or whatever. And then after a while, it's showing a scene where it's the same restaurant. They meet a couple that's on vacation, and they're like, "Oh my God, you guys live here? That's amazing. We should go for dinner." They go for dinner. He's eating the same lobster at the same restaurant day in, day out, and he just gets bored out of his mind. And it's like a lot of people think, "Hey, that's the dream, right? Retire on some paradise island." You do the same thing, the same thing. You
Mm.
get bored. You really do,
Yeah.
and you need more. You need
Somebody who
something.
lived in the islands, right? Like,
Yeah, happened to me. Happened to me. I first went and I was like, man, this is amazing. Me and my wife, we semi-retired and we said, you know what? Let's just move. Let's see what happens. So we go. It was the same thing. It was almost like same story. It was like at first we were excited. Our daughter's school, they had beach Friday every Friday. We were like, man, this is awesome. Every Friday, go to the beach, swim, da da da. After a month, it was like, you want to skip this one? After 2 months, I don't even think we were going anymore. Like it just wasn't happening. We're like, nah, I'm not doing that. And it's one of those things. But there were fun moments, sure, but you need more. you know? And like at the time, like all my friends were working, I wasn't, so I'm just kind of like by myself and you meet tourists and it was the same story, like, oh my God, you guys live here? Yeah, yeah. Where are you guys from? Oh, from wherever, you know? Oh, that's cool, man, you know? Oh, how long you been here? Same question, same this, same that. It was like Groundhog Day. It was like every day was just a repeat of the same. I was like, fuck, I need more, man. And that's when we opened our businesses there because I was like, this is crazy. I can't live like this. I got to do something. My brain, I don't know. You got to do something. You got to stay active. You got to just find something you enjoy. Some people, they're happy if they just go fishing and they're like, that's their thing. That becomes their life, you know? But I think for most people,
They're
you
doing
gotta have,
something.
you gotta have
Yeah.
something. Yeah, you gotta have
Yeah.
something
There's
to drive you.
never a full. And I think as you see that a lot of people, I know we've seen it with here specifically. There was an old weatherman, right? You'll hear these
Yeah.
stories every once in a while where they worked all the way and then like 2 months later they died,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Because they quit working and
Yeah.
suddenly then it's like they just, oh, well, what am I?
What am I gonna do now? Yeah, and there's nothing left to do, but well, life is over. My purpose is fulfilled, you
Mhm.
know? It's that was one of the things. I don't know if you ever saw Blue Zones on Netflix. It's like a documentary. They went and they found these areas, hotspots in the world where there's the most centurions, people that live to 100 or more.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And they went through all the keys
Always
that
staying
like
active, always
yeah,
being
some
on a
places it was
routine,
oh certain
always.
food
Hmm.
or walking. And I think it was in Japan he went and they were like, you have to have a purpose. And I can't remember what
Hmm.
they called it. Hakati, I don't remember what it was, but they called it something ego tau or something. There's a name for it, your purpose in life. And it was like, that's what keeps us going. There was one guy, he was like 104 or something, and he was still making swords. It's
And I
crazy.
think as business owners, we get the lucky, if you say win, lose or draw, like we
Yeah.
we got the lucky card here.
Hmm.
I mean,
I agree.
we really think about it. Everybody else wants to be done with what they're doing at 60, so
Yeah.
that then they can have this life of trying to do as little as possible
Yeah.
and do nothing, right? Like now they've pushed that back, and 65, then it's 70, right? But
Yeah.
for us, we really do get the chance to find something for those of us that start in our 20s.
Yeah.
Imagine, let's say we are a very fortunate soul that gets to live to 100. 80% of our life, we get to do what we want to do.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah. It's
Say we die at, 80. So at least what's
mhm.
then 60% of our life, we get to,
Yeah.
to
Get to do
wake
what you
up and
want.
go do what we enjoy every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. And
When you
do it for
get that
yourself.
opportunity.
It's true. That is it takes a lot of courage and a lot of hard work,
Sure,
but you get to
yeah, there's
enjoy it
all
as
the
you
other
go.
reasons why people don't
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's
And
true.
that's why some people are like, hell no, I don't want to do this. But if you can get past all that,
Yeah.
right, and learn to, right, stop grinding, learn to climb, you
Yeah.
can begin to find what you really enjoy, what you can be not just passionate about, but to your
Mhm.
right, to have a purpose
Yeah.
for your day, a purpose for your week, purpose for your month,
Absolutely.
purpose for your
Yeah.
year, like
That's
a
where like
purpose for
me,
your life. Wow.
yeah, I love seeing those businesses where there's few and far between now, but where it was like such and such and sons. Anytime I saw that, man, I was like, that's amazing. You know, like you create an opportunity for yourself, something you're passionate about, and then now you can pass that on as well. Like you're creating a lifetime of like
So, do you
freedom in life.
think for those listeners that are heard that and go, right? Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
want to do that. And
Yeah,
I was one, right? Like
yeah.
in my will before I got married, it was about my daughter would take over the business,
Mm.
right? So, I'm one of those guys too.
Yeah, yeah,
At the
yeah.
same time, we got to ask,
There's a flip side. There's a
will they, two, number one, but two, would they take over a detailing business
Mm.
or would they take over a car care business?
Ah, big difference there.
Massive
Big
difference.
difference. Yeah.
Massive, massive difference. So if you're
Yeah.
somebody that wants to have family members, have other people in your business, you
Yeah.
might need to think about which direction you're going. Are you going in
Yeah.
the detailing world business or car care? Car
Yeah.
care encompasses detailing. A
Yep.
large
Absolutely.
part of car care is detail, but that umbrella opens up to a lot more avenues,
100%. And it
which
could
we'll
be,
talk about in the next marketing. You know, we're
yeah,
today we're going to talk about I think the second hardest thing you do in business. The first hardest we'll talk about next week. We're kind of dyslexia in this, but you know, we should have gotten at least three, top three. We just went 2 and 1, but whatever.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, is team members, and the first one is
Yeah.
how to get customers. I mean, those are the top.
Those are
I
the
don't know
top.
what
Yeah.
how to get people to pay you money, and then how to get people to do the work.
Yeah. And
Hardest two things you have to do.
you accomplish those two things, and now you have a business that
You do.
someone would want to take over.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well, you have
that's
a
what happened.
business,
Yeah,
right?
you have
You're
a
not
business basically.
self-employed
Yeah,
anymore,
yeah. Exactly. Because if you're self-employed, it's more or less just a job. You have a job, and
which is
it's
fine.
yeah, which is definitely fine. But
I was
there is a
self-employed for a while.
difference. Yeah.
I was self-employed for a long
It's
while.
hard to pass on self-employment,
It's
you
hard
know?
not to ruin your body. It's not hard. It's
Yeah,
hard not to ruin your personal life. It's hard not to
yeah,
ruin a lot of things that come against a self-employed, determined person.
yeah.
Right? If
Plus,
we're a
you know,
true quote unquote, I want to be an entrepreneur. We love that word. Well, then you
yeah,
can't be self-employed. Those are
it's true.
those are
They bat heads, exactly, or
yeah.
butt heads. It's true, and I feel that the difference between a business and being self-employed for me is about like mitigating my vulnerability. It's about making sure that, like, I've been self-employed too. When I used to have a lawn care business when I was like 14, and then after that, I had a video rental business, but it was primarily me doing the deliveries, doing this, doing that, and it wasn't until I got some staff that that's when I realized, oh shit, now it's a business. And before, I was super vulnerable. Anything could have happened to me, and everything just shuts down. And so for me, becoming a business was really important to make sure that I wasn't vulnerable anymore to things that happen, and
Yeah,
getting a
but Sean,
business.
nothing happens to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I'm
20,
invincible, right? Yeah,
I'm 19, I'm 23. I'm with you.
yeah.
I was that white guy too. I didn't think
Mm,
anything would happen to me. I had to
yeah.
tell the story though to my nephew this weekend about when I was a mobile detailer, and I was asked by the church I was going to if I would come be, and this is what they do around people that are in church and people through the Midwest, they're very common. Hey, the youth is going to take a ski trip and we need chaperones.
Ah,
Great. Get free
yeah, yeah.
transportation, right?
Let's go.
I'm like, at that point, I think I was like 24, 25, something like that.
Damn, yeah.
Well, I tried that rail slide one too many
Oh,
times. I said, hey, third time. And then if I can't get it on this rail slide this time,
yeah.
then I'm done. I got on the rail slide. I got up and I was
Okay.
sliding down, right?
Good
Happy as
news.
can be. I get up and I'm like, wow, I'm doing it. I'm rail sliding.
Oh,
I didn't
jeez.
even, as fast as I was
In
on
an
the rail
instant.
slide, as
Yeah.
fast as I was down.
Boom.
Broke my
Oh, man.
collarbone.
Holy Jesus.
Most brutal
That's
experience is when you're on
crazy.
that little stretcher thing and the guy's pulling you down the mountain and you've got two bones that are hitting each other like this.
Oh, God. That's
I was
crazy.
screaming,
Yeah, no
scream.
kidding. Oh my God.
There's nothing else to do. There's
Yeah.
nothing else to do but scream.
And
Like,
that hill, when you're skiing, you're like, man, that was really short. In your scenario, that probably was the
because we
biggest
were
hill.
I mean, that rail slide I went on the terrain park was the very first rail slide up
Oh
at the top
man.
of the terrain park.
That was the
So I
longest
had
ride down.
all the ways to come all the way down.
Oh,
Brutal. But then
Jesus.
you get home, and what are you
Yeah.
going to do? If I didn't have team members
Yeah.
that were willing to step up, now here's the
Yeah.
part, right? I say team members.
Mm,
Let's be transparent here. I think this is the hardest part when we talk about the second hardest. The hardest part of getting people is, I think, having the availability, finances,
yeah.
schedule wise, understanding that all the things I need to do with the government,
Yeah.
taxes, paychecks. I mean, start. I think that piles up on people and they get overwhelmed and they do what
Yeah.
I did and they find a guy that's okay with the quote unquote contractor pay.
Mm, yeah.
You're gonna run a real big risk there. It's
Oh yeah.
massive risk. And I don't encourage anybody to ever do that risk.
Yeah, I think
right?
too, real quick on that note, a lot of the problems too there is a lot of counties, a lot of states, a lot of places, if you're dictating their hours, it's it's
It's
it's a really
it's
bad
all
area to
about if
be
you
in
get
because
caught.
yeah,
It
yeah,
just comes
100%.
down to if you get caught.
100%. Yeah.
But
And
technically, yeah, you're not supposed to dictate hours. They're supposed to provide all their own equipment,
mhm. Mhm.
right? They're supposed to
Yeah.
provide.
They're supposed to provide their
They're
own
a true
insurance, like
business that you're contracting.
yeah,
So, you
they're
know, I
supposed to
know
send you
we
invoices, like
in the
yeah.
service world, we get away with a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we do. So if you're somebody that runs that risk, hey, got it. I imagine though, right? There's some stuff inside of OrbisX that if we're looking at going, hey, is this should I, is this the right schedule time? Do I have enough hours in the day to look forward, right?
Mhm.
AI would help with that much
Yeah.
more than me, a young kid trying to
Yeah.
think, man, do I have I know one concern for me was, do I have enough work that will
Yeah.
sustain a full 40-hour a week team member that I need to pay the taxes plus everything? I mean, if they're, let's just use a number, $20 an hour, what does that really cost me? It's probably more like $24 an hour.
Mhm.
Do I have that long term? Do I have that ability? That I think is the
The biggest
one of the
question.
toughest
Yeah.
questions. You got to look at yourself and go, is it going to work?
Yeah.
AI can help, right? I mean,
Oh,
it can
100%.
give
Yeah,
me
and
some answers
yeah,
to
there's
some tough
actually
questions.
in OrbisX, there's actually a report called the Crystal Ball, which is pretty cool. And you can click it, and it uses your previous data to forecast if you were to do certain things, how it would impact your business, which is pretty cool. So it'll do things like if you were to get twice as many jobs as you have, or if you were to upsell each customer only $50 extra, if you were to hire an extra employee, this is the impact it would have in your business. So that's in there right now. And you can also ask the AI, you know, I'm making X amount, or I'm looking to hire a customer, and this is where I live, so on and so forth. And it can use data from your region and kind of give you some forecasts for sure. Excuse me. But the biggest thing I think people struggle with is like that question in itself. What people struggle with is I want to have double the income coming in or something to cover them so it doesn't cost me anything. And I would argue that that's a mistake in a way because if you wait for that, that day may never come because you're going to be trying to push yourself to do twice as much. You have to understand you're going to have to put some money aside so that when you
There's a
hire
word,
them,
right? There's a word right at that moment. It's called
yeah,
invest,
yes, yeah,
right? You
you
can either
really have to,
invest in the stock market, which you should, and you can invest in IRA, right? You can invest in all that. And that's what people call investments. You also, as a self employed or business owner at this point, you need to
yeah,
look at yourself and go, how do I invest in this company? Same
yeah,
as you would invest your money into Spotify or Bitcoin, right? You're
yeah,
investing your money. So, can you invest your money into your own company? Maybe it means you take a little less,
yeah,
right? Maybe you go, hey, instead of 10% to this organization that I'm supposed to give to, right? That was a question I started to have with my own self, right? I had to question this 10% that I was giving to another organization. And should I give it to my own company so that I can keep more funds in my business and invest in my own business so that somebody
100%.
else's life directly could be changed, right?
Yeah,
Not indirectly, but
100%.
directly, right?
Yeah,
And I'm just saying that was something I had to. We could all look at, before you could go through your bills, right? You could go down that part if somebody's in
yeah,
that dire of a situation, but you shouldn't be. If you've been using OrbisX correctly, if you've been operating down the path of operating a business, you shouldn't be in a tough situation.
yeah. You should
There's
be
a
having
lot
a
of
little bit of a
finances
surplus.
available in detailing. You shouldn't be having to wonder about your pennies, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you should have plenty to move forward with.
It's true, 100%. And that's where the investment initially, yes, it's going to hurt initially your pocket because it's going to be more going out
You might
usually than
think,
what's coming in.
right? You
But
might think, but that's
you
my
might
point. Like
think,
you should have
yeah,
enough,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It should already be there,
Yeah.
100%. Like when we onboard new staff, we have an accountant, and so we have to pay them money just to put their name on payroll. We have to pay them to set up their profile, pay them to start the auto deposit, all that kind of stuff. We have to file forms that get submitted to the government. We have to figure out the deductions. We have this thing here, CPP, we have to pay. Like, it's a bunch of stuff.
So
The
if I
accountant helps a lot.
question if I have enough, I could ask
Yeah.
AI, right? Inside of
Yeah, 100%.
OrbisX, hey, if
Yeah.
you look at my schedule over the next fill in the blank, would
Yeah.
I have enough available to hire somebody at XYZ price?
Yeah. 100%. And
Right? I mean, that seems
oh
like a
yeah,
reason to use AI in OrbisX.
100%. And you also have to think about the fact that if you're making X amount, asking AI, yeah, you're going to get those answers, but you have to also think for yourself, if you're able to sell X amount of jobs, you're going to be able to sell a lot more jobs.
Next question could be, where could I upsell to bring in more revenue?
Exactly. And then you bring in that new staff member and they get trained on, you got to ask every customer that comes in, would you like to add a 1 year coding? Would you like to add this, that? You're upselling each of those customers. They're going to pay for themselves. So the initial investment you recoup pretty fast. And then next thing you know, oh my God, there's this extra source of income coming in. You
If
could
what?
reinvest again if
If you keep climbing.
if
There's
you keep
some of
climbing.
us
That's
that
true.
have this idea that when we become the boss,
Yeah.
what do we
That
get to
is
do? We get to go sit in
put
the
your feet
office.
up,
There
put your
you
arms back.
go.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, let's go sit up in the office.
No,
No,
no. You still
no,
gotta,
your
you're
role
still pushing
changes.
hard. Yeah.
You're well, I okay, you're right, but I think there's some of that disconnect, right? You do have to change your role.
Oh, for
Because if you
sure.
used to
That's the
clean
reason
every
why you're
wheel,
hiring someone in the first place, right?
you've got to
Yeah.
now position yourself away from stop even thinking about that wheel, right?
Hmm.
And here's where so many people get caught, myself included, and I'll share some stories, right? We have brought in somebody for some temporary help here, right? And
Nice.
he works at a tent shop locally.
Nice.
And this guy told me, well, I said, well, what do you have available? Well, no. Oh, well, I just work part time there. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Part time? Why? Oh, well, he's young. He's 20. He doesn't have it, and he just starts giving the reasons, and you just go, all right. So you got a young guy,
Yeah.
has some success at least. He's got somebody that's coming in every once in a while. Doesn't quite have enough work yet, but maybe because this guy even goes, we tell him he should raise his prices. Okay, maybe that's one thing too, right? I heard this story and I just go, man, this is something Sean and I need to talk about because there's so
Yeah.
many of us in this situation. I put myself there too of going, all right, if I'm this guy at this tent shop, like I've got work. I mean, I just don't seem to know how to schedule the work so that this guy can come into work and I can go do something. And like, right? You and I could
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
guy can't seem to see it. And I go, that's why they got to ask AI. Like, we got to go to this temp shop and go, dude, you got to sign up for OrbisX and just ask the crystal ball what to
Yeah.
do.
Like, what
It's
should
going to
I do?
tell
And
you.
this, boom, 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 boom. Try this, or you could try this, or you can try this. Like, there's paths you can go down, and none of them is the exact correct one because they're all the correct one. Each one will lead you to, the golden palace where you want to be, and that's where I feel that a lot of people aren't utilizing the tools that are available to them, either for lack of knowledge or lack of exposure. But the tools are there to get ideas of what you need to do, but ultimately, you do have to get in a position
Instead
where,
of going to a Facebook group and asking
yeah,
people, what should I do? Why don't you go
yeah,
into OrbisX crystal ball and ask,
and
what
that's
should
the
I do?
AI. Yeah, because you're going to ask some other people that
So
have a
when we
very
start
limited
seeing that
knowledge and
question,
experience.
maybe
Yeah,
we
yeah,
just put a crystal ball. You need to get a GIF for another GIF, right? That
yeah, yeah,
has
yeah.
Orbis X
They
with the
just,
crystal ball, and then we can just put it there, like the Staples button.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exact. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That's good. Yeah,
So
because
when people
it's
ask those
necessary.
questions, we just go, here, ask this guy.
Here,
And
just
then it's
ask
got a
this.
link or something they can automatically
Yeah, yeah. I like
ask
that.
the Orbis X crystal ball.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Because one thing we're working on right now is it's an AI chat. There's two components to it. One is going to be the forward facing for customers, where your customers can ask questions and the AI will be able to answer questions about your business. So if they ask, like, what are your business hours? Are you open right now? It can answer those kinds of basic things, but it can also answer some pricing stuff. So it'll be like, how much to get my car detailed? It's going to say, well, like, what's your year, make, model? How many seats, so this, that, different things. and then it's going to spit back pricing based on whatever you set as your price list. You'll be able to control the knowledge that the AI has to some degree about your business. But then there's the other side that's going to just help you with your business as well, where you can ask the AI questions based on what you know about my business from all of this other info that's in there. What should I do next? The AI will be like, it's time for you to hire somebody.
The ultimate
Or
business coach, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly. And so that's something that's in the works right now. It's about
So
half
could you
finished, which is
start your
good.
own like little mentor group and then just have the crystal
The
ball?
AI just answer everything. Yeah, yeah. Fuck, I wish. My God.
You know how those some people
Yeah,
have this like, hey, here's our this, but then you can come into this special private group.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And we'll just boom have the AI
that's going
in
to be
there.
the
Yeah.
next thing, right? Because
Oh, I
there's
will.
actually companies now that have AI that
Yeah.
sound just like a human being and talk just like a human being. And
100%.
you'll call a hotel lobby and you won't know that you're talking to AI. I have
Yeah,
no
it's
idea.
true. Yeah, I
Yeah, it's very
put out a
true.
video in the
Yep.
group about 2 weeks ago about our email marketing suite, and some people were like, they didn't say anything at first, but after I told them, I was like, by the way, that video wasn't my voice.
Oh
It
yeah, I
wasn't
remember
me.
you
Yeah,
telling me that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people were like, holy shit. They were like, I thought something sounded off, but I still wasn't sure. But that's
Hmm.
how close it got. And that was me training the AI on my voice for about 20 to 25 minutes. And that's how close it got. The longer AIs, it's right now it's still going through videos that I've done for like the last couple of years. Within the next like, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 days, it's gonna be I won't even know the difference. Like it's that crazy. It's insane. The next step after that is we've got it working on some photos right now. So it's got photos of me and it's studying them to make animated photos like GIFs. But the goal is to get it to be able to do video, where it could be me talking but not talking. You know what I mean? So it's anyway, work in progress. But I think that these are important things that business owners need to look into,
Well,
or even
because we
just
always
explore.
ask.
Yeah,
We doubt, and I know we
yeah,
doubt. I know because I've been there. And we
yeah,
get in these situations and we want to go, we want to climb, we want to be at the next level, right? We do want it, but we don't know the answer. We want some answers, so we'll go to a Facebook group and we'll ask other people that are in the
yeah.
exact same situation who don't
It's
have the
true.
answer, but they're
Hmm.
so opinionated that they have the answer and they're going to tell you, and you just go, Sean's
Yeah.
built the platform for you to give you the answers of what you
You're going to
need.
get a more accurate answer because
You're
you're going to
going to
get
get it from a business
experience
owner
from a, yeah,
that put it together so that you could
yeah,
have, in a sense, some of the things we talked about, a not a blueprint, but a in a sense a
yeah,
trail, right? Here,
absolutely. Those
take this next step.
breadcrumbs.
Here, take this next
Yeah.
step. Yeah, breadcrumbs. Like,
Because that's important. And like when it comes to like experience, that's the big difference I'd say with OrbisX compared to other CRMs that are out there is that a lot of them are built with, sure, functionally they'll do very similar things, but the mindset behind it and their motivation behind it is they want to sell software and they come from either software background or they come from some other industry and they're just like, oh, this will work because there's a need for software in this industry, but they don't have the experience necessary to actually help a lot of these guys. And that's why OrbisX has grown so much without me having to do all the other stuff that the other CRMs are doing. And like all the shows and this and that. But the big thing is you got to think like I've hired hundreds of people in my lifetime and I've hired people in different countries. Like, think about how scary that is. Like, people worried about, oh, I've got a business in my local town I grew up in, and I'm not sure how to hire people or this and that and stuff. I moved to a different country in a tiny little island in the Caribbean, and I had to learn how to register a business, how to hire people, how to pay taxes, how to deal with disputes. There was the labor board I had to deal with there. They have a whole different process than where I came from. Like, there was so many things. We were using a different currency. Like, you name it, everything was different there. And I had to figure it out as I went. It was a process for sure. It came with a lot of investment of money and time and everything, but that experience lives in me today. So when I came back to Canada, doing stuff here was like fishing with dynamite because I was like, man, this is easy peasy. I've got the pieces. I know what needs to be done,
it took
and
time,
just
yeah.
replicate. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Takes time, right? I think so
Takes
many of us
time.
get scared of that moment.
Yeah,
And even now, listening to you talk, and we go, yeah, I need to hire, but I don't know how to hire. I don't know
yeah,
what to do. I don't know how to do that.
yeah,
And I saw this quote from Steve Jobs, and it's not exactly around this point, but I'll tie it in. It says, Maturity is working through your trauma and not using it as a never ending excuse for poor behavior.
Yeah.
So you've had trauma with hiring people, you don't know how to do it, and you let
Yeah.
that be an excuse for your poor behavior as a business owner. Like,
Yeah.
if
That
you can't
fear that you're,
hire people, if you
yeah.
can't manage people, you'll never be a business owner. You will always be self employed. Once again, okay, you just need to go
Yeah.
down that path. Okay.
Yeah.
You just need to be in that path and understand you will be at my age in pain, pissed off, questioning, right?
Yeah.
Or like plenty of people in their 30s
Yeah.
that aren't happy either because they're still cleaning. They're still working. One of the biggest
Yeah.
things that my wife tells me every week, "Hey, how's it going?" "Oh, I got to get out of being the person doing the work."
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You've got
Absolutely.
multiple team members, but she really
Mhm.
struggles then, which we'll have to talk later, because it's a bit much now, is
Yeah.
then, you know, once you've hired somebody, how do you put them in the roles that best fit their personality? Do
Mm.
you actually have the right processes built into your, you know, how the team member comes in and does this? Do they follow a checklist every time they clean a car? Like those things have to be
Yeah.
done, right?
That's true.
It'd be awesome if AI could do it for you. Maybe
Yeah.
it could. Maybe it could. And if it could, hell, your job's even easier as a business owner. That crystal ball is
100%.
working even better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the next level for you is then having the processes put together, then teaming those processes into the right way this team member is going to think.
Hmm.
Because they're not all going to think the
Because they're not
same,
going to
right?
think, yeah,
Hmm.
that's, I would say, from my experience, the biggest problems that we've had at the shop or any of my businesses really has been managing different personalities. Because you assume when you hire someone, let's say it's for the same role, like the company we had in the Caribbean, one of them was a call center. So we had a bunch of people there. They're all doing more or less the same job. They read from the same answers, the same script, they access the same knowledge base, so on and so forth. You're dealing with different personalities, different, whether it's different genders or different experiences they had. Maybe that day, one of them got in a fight with their girlfriend or their boyfriend or whatever, or maybe one of them's just not very social compared to the other. Like, and you're trying to manage all these different things. That I think can be intimidating for people, but that's more when you get past the first hire. When you're just dealing with a low volume of staff, you're dealing with one or two staff, it's a lot easier to manage. So I think there's kind of levels to it where the first step is I have no employees. I'm terrified to take that first leap, terrified financially, terrified like how do I even do an interview? How do I this, that?
And you can't leave him as a
There's,
part time, right? Because if I wanted this guy, I could steal
oh,
him
you
right
could take
now.
him tomorrow.
I could steal him.
Easily. Easily. Because if you could take a full-time person that's unhappy in their job, you could definitely take a part-timer easily. And I
Like,
agree with
how do
you.
you get to a
So
full-time employee? And then there's so
yeah,
many people that need that. So they gotta ask that crystal ball, right?
100%.
They
'Cause
have to.
you know
What do
what?
I need to do to get on my business to where I can get? And then, right, you're
Yeah.
right. The next one is how do I get two people?
Yeah.
Right? How
Because
do I
ultimately
mean,
that's
these
what
are
you
the challenges, and
yeah.
this is what you have to do. But there's so many,
Yeah.
you used the word before. I think it's a great word. There's so many detailers, and this is specific, I think, to the detail industry
Yeah.
that want to circumvent. They
Mm.
want to take
Yeah.
leaps. They want to
Yeah.
jump over to get to the next. I don't really have to do that, Sean. I can just
Do X, Y, Z. Yeah, it's like, no, you do have to do it. There's a million reasons why. Like for us at our shop, we won't hire someone that's a subcontractor unless they're coming with proper things. Like when we started our windshield
now. But what
replacements.
about you said at one time it was you and your wife,
Hmm.
right? So even
That's
at
true.
that
We
point,
started, that's what we were
you
doing.
had to take that step from how do I stop being me and my wife to
Yeah.
how do I hire people?
Yeah. Well, that's a good point you bring up though, because at first it was just me, then it was me and my wife, and then we took the step, okay, because she came in because we got the volume up to a certain level where it was like, all right, so now I know that boom, we can support two people doing the job and the money's coming in to support that. So then we took that leap and we went and we hired someone to basically fill our position. So what we did do though is because my wife and I we were fast, but we weren't as fast as someone that maybe had experience in it already because like we were brand new to detailing. There was no no experience there at all. Not that it's like rocket science per se for what we were doing, but at the same time, there were still procedures in place and so on and so forth. Brought in somebody, they were able to do the work that we were both doing for a period of time. Then it came, well, okay, now we have to bring in somebody else. What do we do? So at first it was easy because we just took a complete pay cut and we said, so all the money that's coming in, instead of it going back into the business in the ways that it was before, sitting in the savings account or going into, other things, chemicals, now it's going into labor. So now it's going into this person that we've hired. Okay, that's great. How long can we do that for? Because now we're just like funneling money into him. The business was at the time just breaking even basically. But then it's like, how do we hire someone else? Because he can't keep going at this pace doing all the cars that he was doing. So we had to bring in more people. But that's what we did. We consulted with an accountant at the time and we said, listen, this is our plan. This is how we want to structure things. They let us know. And we looked at both options. We looked at, okay, what if we bring in subcontractors? And what we realized is that our risk went way up through the roof. And we're like, okay, we're dealing with people's vehicles, we're dealing with some expensive vehicles, we're dealing with this and that, we're dealing with people as well. Someone could get run over, someone could get backed up into, who knows, someone could slip and fall in the parking lot. There was stuff going on. If the subcontractor slipped on our property, it fell on us, not on their insurance. There was all kinds of things that went into it. So we looked at the risk factors. But the other part of it was our accountant explained to us, they said, if you do the subcontractor route, you save money today. You save money when it comes time to pay them, but you're also paying additionally because the government's not stupid. They figured this out where you're going to have subcontractors, and if you're doing it the right way, you have to pay taxes on their services and so on and so forth. It kind of balances out. They said, but you're missing all of the perks. If they're your own employees, there's actually a lot of perks for your business. There's number one, a lot of discounts that we can get on the taxes that we have to file that we'll get back either in credits by like, hiring more people. And this is throughout the whole world. This is going to be the same where the governments want the employment rates down. It looks good for them when it comes voting time. It looks good when they're trying to, raise money for certain
No,
things or do
employment
this.
rates up,
No,
not
employment rate
down.
is up. Sorry,
Yeah.
unemployment. I meant. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like,
Sorry.
wait, what?
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Thanks for catching
You
that. Yeah. So,
Canadians are definitely backwards
yeah,
up there.
yeah. Too much syrup. But
Mhm.
so when unemployment is down, it looks good for them, and they do everything they can to boost the economy, boost jobs, and so on and so forth. So there's actually a lot of things in place that are beneficial for business owners. But the other thing too is the things that we can claim by having employees is all the way up. So yes, it costs more today in some aspects, but there's benefits where we can control their time. We can control, we want you to work these hours to these hours, so on and so forth, versus the independent contractor. It was kind of, if we start doing that, now we have to put them on payroll. So we're right back to ground zero. So it was kind of just a mix of both. But the biggest thing the accountant told me at the time, he said, listen, if you go the subcontractor route, the guy can take your clients. He has zero obligation to you at all, not just in a legal sense, but also in a being a part of the team sense, because he's not a part of the team. He's on his own. So he has no loyalty to your company, which means he can also offer the same service somewhere else. So now your service isn't even different than the other place because it's the same guy. He's working at your shop, he's working at his own shop, he's working somewhere else. So he started breaking down these things to me, and it made a lot of sense. And he said, listen, if you hire your own people internally, it costs you a little bit extra today. Not much. The difference wasn't crazy. We're not talking thousands. It was like a couple $100 extra, put someone on payroll, boom, get that all figured out. He said, look, you've got the finances to cover it. You might as well take this step. The biggest thing you're going to gain back now is all of your time and the ability to dictate what they do in a day, how the service is done. You have more quality control. So now you're the one that owns the whole process. And he used the actually Domino's Pizza as a reference to me. He said Domino's Pizza does so well because they make their own dough, they make their own ingredients, they store their own stuff, they have their own distribution with delivery drivers and everything. They're controlling the entire quality of their product from start to finish. They're also controlling their employees from start to finish so they can guarantee certain things are going to get
Mhm.
done, are going to get done on time. They have less headaches in the long run. Expensive to set up their facility. Once it's set up, it's a money train. And so he said, do you want to build a money train or do you want to build a job? And I looked at that and I said, Jesus, man, money train, obviously. Let's go. And so he said, okay, so this is what you have to do. So we started putting a plan in place by talking with them. But their case in point, I had to go to a professional. And at the time, AI may have existed, but definitely wasn't anything like it is today. I would have likely gone to AI first and plugged in all the same things that I had plugged into this guy, and I would have gotten back some clearer answers on what I should do, how I should do it, what the pros and cons are. And that's where I think every business owner should start is, or entrepreneurs, is start there. Ask AI, what should I do? Here's what I'm doing
Not
on.
just any AI. You got to ask the crystal
That's
ball.
true. You got
It's
to ask the crystal
specific.
ball. Yeah, yeah,
It knows the
specifically.
data that you have.
Absolutely. And that's important
Got to
because
ask the crystal ball.
yeah, it's super important because it's also going to be real. It's not going to be where you're lying to it so that you get a
Mhm.
favorable outcome.
Mhm.
Like you might say, you might go meet your accountant and be like, yeah, so, my business, yeah, yeah, we're doing like, $300,000 a year, da, 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 but really you're only doing 150. There's no point in lying about this. You got to be brutally honest. You're having a serious discussion to make serious decisions about your business. And I think that that's a big thing. But now once you get the employee, keeping them is the key part.
We'll do that another one. We'll
We
do that
will.
another.
I just
Yeah.
have one statement to say about it, and that is that with the part timer, as you mentioned, when you go the subcontractor route, you go the part timer route, it may seem like it's a viable option initially. If you're going to go that route, it's got to be very short lived. And your goal should be try and find a subcontractor that you could incorporate into your business. That's what we did at ours. We took a subcontractor for windshields. He had a shop at the time, but it wasn't really doing what he wanted to do. All he wanted to do, change windshields. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't want to do all the other business shit. So we said, don't worry, we'll take care of that. Start working with us. You still run your shop, work with us. Our goal was to convince him to come with us full time. And that's what happened. Now we have full time ability to do windshields, and he's been with us for 3 years. So we went a short term route with subcontractors to pull them in, and now he's part of the team. And the way to keep those people though is by building that environment where you have a good team, you have a good business setup, good processes, and you take care of them. And I'll finish basically on there's a quote. So JFK, he went into NASA one time for a visit when he was president, and he saw a guy mopping the floors, and he saw him and he was just mopping the floors. He said, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And the guy replied back, "Sending a man to the moon." That's what he was there for. He wasn't there. I'm cleaning a room. I'm mopping the floors. He was part of the team. Even though he was just mopping the floors, he was part of the whole team that's sending a man to the moon. That was their mission. That was their goal. And when you have that clearly laid out for your team, everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows what you do. At Auto World, what do? We make customers' cars clean. Sure. But what we really do is we care for our customers' vehicles. We care for them. That's what we're in the business of. That's why it's Auto World. It's not Sean's detailing. It's we're in the auto world. Your whole world. That's what we do. So we take care of your vehicle, whether it's coating, windshield replacement. Now we do paint chip fixes and all this kind of stuff. Like we do a lot of stuff, but we're in the car care industry. That's what we're in. It's detailing sometimes. It's tinting other times. No matter what it is, they know that it's care that we're giving. And every step of the way, our whole team, they're focused on the care aspect. And that's why some guys, they do tinting, but they also do detailing. They also mop the floors. It doesn't matter what they're doing, it's all part of the whole mission of sending someone to the moon. So that's where build
That's
your
great.
team.
Hmm.
Thanks, man. Yeah, don't be scared. Build your team. It can seem daunting. You have a lot of resources, you have AI there. After this
Oh, you got the
podcast,
crystal ball.
you got the crystal ball. That's right. You're right. You got the crystal ball, the OrbisX crystal ball. You're like, Jesus, man. I said it 100 times. You got the OrbisX crystal ball. And
Staples didn't call it the Staples red thing that you press.
that's true. The Staples red thing. Fair. So you got the OrbisX crystal ball. Use it. And after this, I'm putting together a video as well that I'll be launching in the group as well with the podcast that's going to go over how we build as a team exceptional customer experiences and we collect data through those experiences so that we can better those experiences for our customers, make more money to
Set
help
up the
pay for
future.
our team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because teams are expensive. They get
Pay
expensive.
yourself forward.
Yeah, pay yourself forward. Absolutely. And we do it by way of private contests in OrbisX, which I will break down at a in that video after this podcast. So keep an
Cool,
eye out
man.
for that and this podcast. Enjoy. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, Marshall, for your time. We'll
Mhm.
see you next week, guys, for the marketing episode. Tune in.
Mm.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.